to everyone, once again, thank you so much for joining us here. We're going to be incredibly mindful that we want to have a very, very strong connection, interaction with our source community and people joining our company, people joining our association, and ultimately being able to enjoy our games and products and services that we offer. So my name is IJ Maha. I am not really that active on Hive at all. And then for anyone who doesn't know this, we created OneUp. So OneUp is the platform that we've created to basically not just introduce people and with our community, but communicate to all gamers. So first and foremost, Kevin, and Dave are being very, very, very conscious about how they're communicating. But I'll to be brag. But I've known Dave going on almost years. We were the predecessor to Hive, if you're not too familiar with Steam. I actually threw together different cryptos all around the world. That's what me and Dave do. And we met through a conference that I was hosting in Las Vegas. We started creating a lot of content on Steam, and then we got to meet some really, really cool people. During this whole time, NFTs were really just starting to basis. So this is about 4.5 to 5 years ago, depending on who you ask. Who created or what created NFTs mathematically and sciencely, is that you could actually say that it came from a couple different places, but we do know that it predominantly was identified as an Ethereum and then through BitShares, Hive. NFTs is nothing new. It's just people didn't really know what to do with them. Dave and I, we started looking at this, actually building a game about 4 years ago. This is the same time for everyone to know that is CryptoKitties was really just starting to take off. As Unchained about 3 years ago, and Splinterlands. So Splinterlands, I've known Aggie, Ag Road. He's a CEO. I've known Tampa Bay, which is Matt. I don't know if he still goes by that. Tampa Bay backwards. Yeah, but Matt. But we actually started engaging, and I actually just spent some time with Aggie, the CEO of Splinterlands, in Puerto Rico just a few weeks ago. So we really are very, very familiar with the NFT market. We're very, very familiar with the gaming. And about a little under a year and a half ago, we revisited gaming, and we did look at some projects, but we felt that NFTs was the right project to really, the timing of that was really. And I contacted Kevin. I won't say, geez, it's been exactly 12 months ago, Kevin, I believe. And I said, hey, Kevin, man, I'm looking at building an NFT game. I know you're really, really special. I think you have something really awesome to contribute. I want to share some images with you. We had some preliminary designers. Kevin said yes on the phone that day. We contacted Florian. I believe, Florian, you were the number 2 person that we contacted. That was within, I think, 72 hours. And then since Dave and I, we've traveled the world again, working crypto, attending conferences, raising money, a bunch of different roles. I kind of just assumed that Dave would be in. So that was the core team. It's the 4 of us right here. When we were looking at blockchains to develop, I wanted to understand blockchain benefits and the differences. We did know that interoperability would be the future for cryptocurrencies and also NFTs and basically the transfer of information when it comes to blockchain. So we talked to some really, really smart people about blockchain, about the software, the nuts and bolts of it, not the marketing. We weren't really looking for, hey, how can we make the most? We want to find out the best way to find the cheapest, fastest, and most scalable way for people to enjoy our products and services. And our first introduction to product services would be these. And then we had our first conversation with a very, very influential person in the blockchain world. He actually had his first crypto event in early 2011. Of all the attendees, and this is true, all of them have made well over $100 million, $500 million. north of that in the crypto industry. It's probably one of the most influential meetings in crypto up until then, and that was in 2011. A gentleman named Jim Blasco out of Las Vegas. I actually asked him about some software questions, about scalability, about usability, and I knew that he had a project that they've been rolling out, working on. It's a place called Aspire. To give you an idea, everyone, the average, the minimum you're looking at Ethereum transactions, it's probably, depending on if you go really, probably looking around $40 USD, 46, 40. Binance Smart Chain, the average is $4. That's transferring, depending if it's within the Binance Smart Chain, you're looking around $4. So that's like a factor of 10 per. And then you have other transactions like Pond. You can get some transactions as little as 27 cents, 37 cents. We do see the prices of gas and Ethereum. To give you an idea, Aspire, we can do about 600,000 transactions for 1 cent, 1 penny. So this is money that all our players could save. Instead of paying $47, $4, or even 27 cents, you can do for 1 penny transactions. So we, and then Jim asked me why we were looking at, we told him we were going to build a game studio, and not just a game studio, but a studio in which we were going to build product services. Would we go into media? The answer was yes, versus gaming. We're looking at video production, television production, and basically a movie and media studio. From that one phone call, within 24 hours, we had basically 2 very, very popular, himself and a gentleman named Michael Turpin. And from there, they agreed to fund us, basically on some of our rudimentary ideas of one is how can we bring value and entertainment to everyone in the blockchain, and then how can we bring this value, entertainment, be it gaming, movies, television, streaming services, to the masses around the world. They agreed on funding us, basically a seed round of funding, and that's the birth of NFT Studios. So we are backed by some of the most influential people in the blockchain world. This group is called Transform Group. They're the most successful group in the entire world when it comes to crypto. We're coming crypto value with market valuations, the creation. So when their involvement in these particular cryptos and crypto companies, not just the value of the tokens, but the infrastructure of crypto, it's the most successful. They brought to market Ethereum at 30 cents. They brought to market EOS, I think, at like a half a cent. They brought Wax. They brought USDT. So these are some of the biggest. And right now, I think, depending on the valuation, I think they've done about $700 billion in asset creation. So that core team and that consultancy is called Transform Group. And the owner of Transform Group, gentleman Michael Turpin, he's the co-founder of me with NFT Studios. I kind of give you a little background of us a little bit, but we also have Florian. Florian, please tell them a little bit background on how we met, and then also your role over at NFT Studios. So thanks for joining us, Florian.
Hey guys, everyone. So I met IJ, Dave, and Kevin back in 2018 at the Steam Fest in Krakow, where we all were relatively new on Steam by then, about a year or so, nothing compared to today. And we met for coming together for this community reason, and realized when I met IJ, I immediately wanted to do something with him because he's just such an energetic character, and I had this feeling of this could be something, but nothing came out of it for years. And then IJ contacted me last February about his ChiFiBots and NFT Studios project. And also Kevin and I were both in the DTube community. Some of you might remember the video platform. It's still out there. You can post from it to Hive and Steam, but it's its own blockchain now. And we were really active back in the days, content creating, doing vlogs and stuff like that. this is how we came together in the first place. And yeah, it all started a new journey last February when the team came together.
And Florian, please tell them your roles and now your new roles with NFT Studios.
Right, so I was brought on to create content, to do community things for NFT Studios, because I mean IJ knew that I was always a big content creator on Steam, that I was pushing out articles and videos and doing graphics, and I'm just like this. I would say I'm pretty multi-talented with all these skills, and I learned editing 10 years ago. I think IJ didn't even know that when he contacted me already, but just fitted better and better when I told him that I studied basically writing, and I didn't study it anywhere, but I started at the biggest German company for gaming and entertainment. They have magazines like PC Games, PC Action, and other stuff that I grew up with. Yeah, when I was a teenager, these magazines were already out, and that was in 2007. World of Warcraft was at its peak, and I was playing like crazy, and I saw their ad that they're looking for volunteers to join their editorial, and I started doing print and online content creation, and just fitted perfect. So it was just all about gaming and going to gaming conferences and so on. So when IJ heard that, by that time he already knew that he wanted me for the job, but it was just making it more juicy, I guess. And yes, now we have the one-up thing that just came out of the process when we already created NFT Studios, and I threw myself at it because I felt the call, and I already had this one-up idea, not necessarily for blockchain gaming communities, but for a curation service on Hive or on Steam back in the days. Never came to fruition, but we still had the logo, we still had the mascot created by K-Rex, who's now our cartel designer. And then out of one-up came the one-up cartel idea. And yeah, the rest is history. A lot of stuff has happened in a short time now.
Florian. So we're gonna start addressing some of the questions in just a moment, in about 5 minutes. But Kevin, can you please, in about 2 to 5 minutes, tell people what unique characteristics? I think a lot of people are very, very familiar with Splinterlands, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and obviously Magic the Gathering. Can you tell them what's similar and why you're really, really excited about the game that you primarily designed for people to enjoy? And it's not just based on blockchain, but also just gaming in general. So please give everyone a little bit of maybe 1 or 2 minutes about the overview of ChiFiBots, our flagship game, one of 7 games in the lineup under our company, for partnered. And then can you give people a little bit about the unique attributes of our game, why you think players would really, really like it?
Yeah, sure. So ChiFiBots is essentially a mixture between Pokemon trading card game, a bit of Axie Infinity, and also a bit of Splinterlands itself, because, we all grew up on Hive and Steam, so we play a lot of Splinterlands. It's primarily a 6v6 trading card game, robot battler. There will be 2 modes. There'll be a classic mode, which will only be the 6 ChiFiBots versus 6 ChiFiBots, with no other additional cards, no moves, no special moves, no abilities. And then when we move, hopefully, onto the way it was originally envisioned by myself, it will play more like Pokemon trading card game, where in between, before they battle and choose the move, there'll be all these other cards that they can play, whether you're boosting the attack of your ChiFiBots, or you're drawing more cards, or you're disrupting your opponent, or using an ability. These will all be able to make the battle mechanics, the game itself, more dynamic and a bit more fun and a bit more strategic, rather than just trying to pick, rock, paper, scissors, or in this case, punch, kick, slam, which is also where I think a lot of the ChiFiBots battle mechanic is very, I wouldn't say necessarily unique, but it's a bit different to everyone else's, is that we have it runs on a rock paper scissors type format where you have to pick one or the others. Obviously we have punch beats kick, kick beats slam, slam beats punch, so it's kind of like a triangle, and if you pick the correct one over your opponent, you negate their attack completely. If you pick the same, then both attacks go through, and obviously if you pick the losing action, then your attack gets negated. And that is also included when ChiFiBots in the standard version will also have different move sets and different special moves which they can use once per game. And if you also pick the wrong, punch, kick, or slam, it actually has the potential to be negated, which makes it very interesting if we do look at it as more of an esports competitive type of game. There's always a way you can win. There's no one way that, someone can be like, oh no, like he's definitely gone this turn. But if you can properly predict which one they will pick, you can always negate their attack. So you could potentially come back from a 6v1 type of battle. The robots themselves, they run out of the three traditional categories, which is the Brute, which is a tank role. We have a Gladiator, which is a damage role. And then we have a Technician, which is a support role. And what makes ChiFiBots really cool, in my opinion, is the fact that you'll be able to upgrade your ChiFiBots in the future. And you'll be able to use the in-game currency that you win through the play-to-earn mechanic. And through that, you can choose a different... you can build the ChiFiBot the way you want to build it. So you may have a Brute, but there'll be a different skill tree, different branches, and you may build your Brute more like a damage character, or you can give your Brute more utility or your abilities like a Technician. So it's really up to the way the user wants to build their team, and with the different combinations you have, they're also not just different roles, but there's different planets as well. So, we have the three main planets, which is on the website and promoted quite heavily, just Planet Polaris, Planet Vega, and Planet Atlas. And those planets themselves, they have their own sort of like NFT cards that only work if you're from that certain planet, you'll get this stat boost, or you can equip this weapon or armor depending on what planet you're from. And there's also ChiFiBots that don't belong to any planet, and they also have their own designated cards. So there's a bit of like synergy between the planets, also with the roles, and they also come together within the storyline itself of ChiFiBots, which everyone's trying to fight for their own survival, but at the same time they're fighting battles between each other and also between themselves. And right now it's very much a work in progress with the adventure/story mode, but I would love to make a story mode where it features the story of the characters or the planets, but also it holds your NFTs as they play the story, or a certain NFT you would have to exchange it when you play that story mode. That would be really cool, I think, for at least creativity and also scarcity. Hopefully I covered a bit of what you asked. There's a lot in ChiFiBots to cover.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And so this is the value proposition we're offering people, is that all the basic ways of understanding gaming and playing, we obviously are offering that to you. You can play your style, and maybe going your style against another style, where skill set really comes into play over what we call strength of deck, or being richer. So maybe some other TCG games, if it's just an open arena, person who actually has more of the card deck typically wins. Florian, you did really, really well in Splinterlands. You're doing great in Splinterlands. You're one of the early participants. You do know blockchain gaming. Can you just give them, and this is, I know, trying to remove yourself, you do work with us, it's your company as well. Can you tell people about maybe some of the potential of the cards being valuable? You can rent your cards out, and why you think that this game could be pretty special on a financial aspect, gaining crypto aspect, or card appreciation aspect. Because I think you have a very unique viewpoint, because you're involved with Carl and you guys see so many different games. Can you talk a little bit about that, or maybe the promise or maybe the bright future that this game and the appreciation of the assets and income that could be generated?
Yes, absolutely. So what Splinterlands did back then, they revolutionized a lot of mechanics that were unknown at the time. So when they introduced the cards, they were basically NFTs, not directly because they don't have a smart contract like on Ethereum, but you own them. Yeah, it's basically just a code on the blockchain that you can move around with a JSON input on the blockchain. And that was totally unknown by then. No one used Steam or Steam Monsters back then before they rebranded into Splinterlands. And out of that came Hive Engine, and now we have all the cool tokens, yeah, like OneUp, for example, which are using a similar mechanism of moving assets via this technology, and you own them. So this is very important. No one can take them away from you, even if the game would say we don't like what you do, you would still own them. They could probably do certain things, which Bitterland never did and is heavily opposed to, and our philosophy is similar in that regard. But you would still be able to go on the market and sell it there to another person or do an over-the-counter transaction with your assets. So this was the revolution in trading card games. Back then, there was no alternative. There was Gods Unchained coming quickly after, but they struggled with the high gas fees. So this was another proposition of Hive, and something that we have on Aspire as well. It's very, very cheap and fast to do. And many games, at least in the past, didn't do that. And now, by owning the cards, you are able to not just sell them, but by introducing other mechanisms like renting or burning, you are opening up to further revenue streams. If you burn a card, you get the locked-in dark energy crystals, or if you are renting the card, you can get passive income from it over time. So we are trying to introduce similar mechanism. Also, something that Splinterlands did really well was they introduced the level system. At first they wanted to just say, okay, you play a card and you earn experience, and over time the card gets better. But that would just favor bots, right? Because bots would be able to play 24 hours, and that would be unfair. So they came up with a system of merging multiple cards into one. And the higher you get, the more cards you need. And this is a really interesting concept. And we will actually go further with Kevin. Go ahead.
I don't know who that was. I can say that we probably won't go through the merging the cards together. Rather, we were going to go combine to make a new card or a different variation of a card. I think where scarcity comes is that you'll be able to have a different type of ChiFiBot. Say you have a jaw lock, you can build jaw lock different ways, but that also means that you need multiple jaw lock cards. And I think also combining cards for different... Ooh, somebody is cutting out. I know how to mute someone. Yeah, that's muted. Yeah, I think just owning multiple cards is probably a good thing for now. I can't say too much more. Go on, Flori.
I have to hold myself back because I wasn't sure how much I can reveal about that, but let's just say that there is a hyper deflation mechanism in place in Splinterlands.
Are you guys getting feedback?
Yes, I already muted a user. Every time someone new is coming in, we have to mute that. Continuing, we are introducing similar hyper-deflationary mechanisms, which means that over time, cards get more scarce because you need them to achieve certain things, which you can only achieve by having a bunch of these cards. And yeah, it's actually a little bit more complicated in ChiFiBots than what you can do in Splinterlands, where you merely level up your card, but that's as much as I can say.
There's a lot going on. That's a lot. Yeah, I normally don't mention a lot of it because we just have to see how long this will take. You know, ideally everything will be done right now, but it may take months/years for this stuff to come out. most people forget that, even Tournaments was launched, a year later than Splinterlands. But here we are trying to get it achieved nearly, 6 months within launch. And sometimes you just don't know this stuff until it's actually being worked on. But yes, let's continue on.
Okay, awesome. So I kind of did the background, I kind of took the games, but really, we're really here for all of you. Thank you supporting. Obviously, we want to reward or actually come to our community here on Hive and in Steam. That's what we actually had to kick off. It's our first time we're introducing the ability for people to start acquiring packs or even NFTs of ChiFiBots. We do think there's a high likelihood of people that are participating with us at this stage of our game development that they will be rewarded, right? I mean, like when they'll be rewarded, we think there will be value appreciation for their purchases moving forward. That being said, thank you so much for everyone supporting it. Kevin, can you tell a little bit, maybe one or two things about maybe the campaign, and then we'll start answering some of the questions that came through.
Yeah, sure. So I think we're really close to the first stretch goal of 75,000. I mean, me personally, I'm always overwhelmed by the support we got, especially in such a crazy month as January on Hive, where we had so many airdrops and, Chaos Legion coming out for Splinterlands. Seeing everyone's support, especially so early, we dropped it on New Year's Day. It's really awesome. I will say one thing. So I think a lot of people are sleeping on the tier 2, which is on paper it looks very very low. It's $50, but it's the only one that features a day one starter pack. And think of those day one starter packs as like alpha packs, and there's only going to be 1,000 of them available. And we've allocated 200 for this campaign. We have another more of a, I guess, off-chain campaign with Indiegogo that we're working on that will have another 200 allocated. And then I think there's another 200 allocated for marketing and the team. And then there will be 400 allocated for the public. So there won't be many of them remaining. And I can't say too much about it, but they're one of those very things that could be very valuable in the future. Other than that, we've had one person buy almost the highest tier, or is the highest tier, which is the $50,000 option, which is mind-blowing to me. And I think what they'll be able to do, and our goal is to make everyone who invests plays our games, to make them very well off. So we're hoping we can achieve that. There's also about 10 to 14 more days remaining as well. Ends in the end of January.
So Dave, do you have some questions that people have already submitted to us, or can you start asking some of these questions out?
Probably start on the ChiFiBots chat, and then we can move over to the AMA channel. And then after that, I guess we can just open it up for voice. Did you want to read them out, Dave, or do you want me to just read them out? Because I got it opened already.
Go ahead. Let's go, guys.
All right.
What will be the transaction fees on the Spire blockchain?
I think IJ's already talked about that. So it's for 1 cent you get about 600,000, and that's dependent on one gasp. The price of gasp at the time, which is very low at the moment. Maybe IJ touches on it more, but because it's so small as well, I think we almost are guaranteed to give free transactions for the players, because even one of the card packs equals quite a lot of transactions.
Yeah, the way it's going to work is that we're probably for the first foreseeable time coming, we will probably have an equivalent of an action faucet. So if you basically do a task like, make a comment, make a post, whatever, we'll give you either like 1,000 transactions for free. Something like that, so we can distribute it. And so basically it's an action where you basically can get transactions for free when it comes to transactions. Just like all NFT platforms, there are basically platform fees, right? So if you look, I think actually Infinity is, what are they at, 4.25%. Is that correct?
Yeah, for their market fee.
Yeah, their market fee, and I believe ours is the cheapest or equivalent to the cheapest. So comparatively to Axie Infinity's, we'll be more than half that. We're at 2%. So that kind of gives you the really, that's the reason why we think, and we're working with other game studios, is that so many people want to join us and help building out Aspire and building out blockchains for this, because that makes everyone hold on to their money and their assets much, much longer, right? So think about it. If you do 100 transactions and it costs you, say, 10 cents or 50 cents a transaction, right? Or if you do that same transaction and you still have another 1,000 for the same penny, or for the same action, we think in the future this thing called Freak, this high frequency trading. So these are people that trade hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of transactions a day. You're gonna see a migration of people. So when people talk about NFTs, can we buy and sell and trade NFTs? Why would it need millions and millions of transactions? Well, you can actually do what's called coupling or basketing, where you can just buy an entire basket of NFTs. So for maybe, say, in this example, you can do 13 cards and just bundle those up together and sell them. These all take gas fees, that's when it comes to fees. And what we're bringing to market is pretty darn dynamic. Once again, the market fees, 2%. That's half. That's more than half. And does anybody know what Splinterland's market fees are?
I'm pretty sure. 5%. Yeah, 5%. Also notable is the wax. Wax is 8%. I think it's ridiculous.
Right, and then if you look at traditional NFT selling platforms, if you look at what's Vive doing, I believe they're at 5% or 4.5%, and then depending on who owns the brand, such as Disney, they can tack on another 6%. So think about that. So we're basically either tied or we're beating every single NFT platform. I believe OpenSea is at 5% as well. So we're at 2%. And then just the gas fees, like I said, you're about $580,000 for a penny.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Next question.
Okay, from Pyros91, you said, I'm very invested in Splinterlands and would like to know how ChiFiBots is different from Splinterlands to see why I should purchase a tier. So we've kind of gone over that in the past 10 or 15 minutes. Please let me know, Pyros, if that what we've gone over so far answered your question. If not, let us know in the chat what more specifics you would like in order to.
I can probably just reiterate. I mean, even if they ask, I'd probably just reiterate just in case people come into Discord late. The main difference is that you'll be able to do decisions in between each turn, rather than Splinterlands, which is it's its own thing. Like I'm never gonna criticize it. I think it's great. Splinterlands is a set and forget type of game, right? You have your timer, you submit your team, and that's it. You kind of just go about it, and you can't really do in-game decisions. I think they are changing that later on, which is great. But our one will be, when it goes to standard mode, each turn each player will cycle between each turn, and they can play certain cards and upgrade and just make in-game decisions more. It'll take a bit more longer, but it will be more competitive and dynamic and strategic. Do you want to go with Dave on top? There's someone asked a few questions on top. Pogia.
Which chat is that?
It's on the same page, on the ChiFiBots chat. It's just above where I said it.
Oh, okay. Pogier, I want to see a more detailed roadmap, like actual dates of the launch, etc., more than just the last roadmap pick. Do you have any more specifics there?
No.
I mean, it's very difficult right now with how our just generally blockchain programmers are. So it's very difficult to go anything beyond Q3 or Q1, Q2 at the moment.
Alright, and how is the gameplay coming along? Will both game mode be playable in the alpha test or just the classic?
So it will only be classic, just to kind of show off how everything looks on screen, I guess. Standard mode, although it sounds very standard, it's very, very deep and strategic. There's a lot of moving parts to it.
And to give you an idea, I mean, for everyone to understand this, so alpha testing, it's really only it's really only going to be open for about 100 people in the entire world. So not the average person, the average participant, the average investor, even some of our investor group, they're not involved in the alpha testing. This is literally primarily. So, and then beta testing, there's different levels of beta testing. And that's what we're going to be releasing for the wider community. People can apply to be early testers, and depending on the rounds, but to be quite frank, the people that are involved in the early, not even alpha, but the early beta testing, it's going to go through an interview process and make sure that they have a background and understanding of gaming and blockchain gaming. So it's some of these things where, because we're building it in real time, that those, what people are usually exposed to, like a beta, it's usually beta 0.9, when no one's ever seen beta 0.001. So just to give you an idea, so the average person, it's very extremely limited.
Yep.
And what do we got for play to earn mechanics? We have details on that.
Obviously, every game you play, you'll earn the token, the local token, and there'll be tournaments as well further down the road, and there'll be a few other things where you can earn different, say, land plots. The way I envisioned it is it's more like an alien worlds / our planet for now, I guess, where if you own the land plots, it will mine you a certain resource as well, and with that resource you can use it to combine cards. So everything kind of it's its own thing, really, land gameplay. But that's kind of like the basics of the play to earn mechanics.
I mean, the play to earn mechanics are, we're taking some of the best attributes that we find as gamers and bringing it to ChiFiBots. So if you look at Axie Infinity, Kevin's great at Axie Infinity. Some of the people that were involved in, they date back to Axie Infinity at a very early stage. Basically, the season championships, leaderboard championships, all the dynamics that you would wish to see, tournaments. So all these versions, adventure mode, PvP, everything that you could imagine, and just even checking in, you can actually earn tokens every day. So, and we're also very mindful of guilds and also scholarship programs. So those will be available as well. So we're here to support. So think about some of the best attributes of some of the biggest games out there. We're going to have those attributes and more. So.
Yeah, I think on launch, that's the beauty of not having first movers advantage, is that we can see what's worked and what hasn't worked, but eventually we are going to branch into things where we will be the first ones to try that. And I think that's what a lot of these play-to-earn games, that's like kind of their big marketing ploys, that we're the first to do these. So it's an exciting space to be in.
Well, Kevin, if somebody wants to buy a planet, tell them, because no one's offering this anywhere in the blockchain, tell them what a benefit of owning a planet is, from naming rights to the very everyday things of benefits of owning a planet.
Oh yeah, so if you buy the highest tier, you own the planet. So you name the planet, it will be a huge part in the expansions, but also for that entire planet, you own all the land plots, so you're mining that exclusive resource. So you own the land plots, you can decide to sell them for what you want. So it's awesome for them. And the possibilities of that. And we want to take care of the people who put in the most money as well. Ahead, it'd be great.
And early adopters.
Yeah. Like anyone, I guess, who's listening to this, I see a lot of familiar names who have already bought a tier. And I will announce that I will release that Excel spreadsheet with everyone's name and their amounts, just because I wanted to do it more when it was really completed, but I guess people are starting to forget which tiers they bought. So fair enough, I'll do that today, so everyone can check in and if they bought the correct tier or not.
Yeah, Simsa has had a question. Will there be any type of confirmation of receipt for our pre-orders?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing is also that it's blockchain, so everything is actually, you can literally just go look into the NFT Studios wallet and you can see your transaction. So that's good. Another great part about it, including your memo.
Jungle Boy sneaking into the chat. He wanted to ask a voice question. Will we allow that?
Was there not more questions? Oh, let me just check. Is ChiFiBots on Hive? No, it's on the Spire blockchain, but there will probably be a bridge to Hive with the packs. Transaction fees on the Spire blockchain, we've answered that. 600,000 transactions for 1 cent. Joining a Splinterlands tournament, I will not, unfortunately, because although I invested a lot, I do not have any of the newer meta cards or max level, so I will not be doing that. I think that's it. Yep, and we can move on. Sorry, go Dave.
Yeah, so I've been listening to you, and first of all, I just want to say congratulations on this project, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys go through everything, and it seems very promising in my, at least in my opinion. And that said, my question is not about the financials of it, but of the game mechanics of it. Things like, okay, the first thing that you said, there are 3 main roles, which is support, attack, and the tank. And then you also stated that it is more or less like a rock paper scissor playthrough. So when it comes to rock paper scissor, there's a lot of RNG involved. So how do you make the esport when it comes to it with the RNG, and how are you going to balance it is my first question.
So the RNG really, it's not very much randomly it's not based on, algorithm. It's based on reading the player, right? You want to read the player more. It becomes a bit more like poker at that stage, where if you know that player likes to pick paper a lot, then you know to pick scissors. So I think that it's less RNG, it's more reading the player. Hopefully that answers your question. What was the second part to that question, sorry?
No. So mainly when it comes to the esports factor of it, it's just not about reading a certain player, but having that ability to. I didn't get.
The outplay, kind of like outplaying your opponent.
Yeah, the outplay potential, exactly.
Yeah, sure. So that's more of in the standard mode, there's so many cards that you'll see come out in the base set rather than the day 1 set, where it's more to do with synergy and building up your attacks, each attack, and abilities and moves, that it really will become to the point where you can almost predict what someone will. You will have almost you'll be able to pick which attack you obviously want to do, and it'll be very hard for amateur players to be able to, I guess, win in a sense. I'm not familiar. I'm not sure if you know Pokemon trading card game online, if you've played that before, but that's really what ChiFiBots has been inspired by.
Based on?
Yeah, based on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of works like that, except the final move is the rock paper scissors choice. Everything else kind of works very similar.
Quick question just from.
I want to address, because it's not so everyone. Kevin, please define RNG if people aren't familiar with the term of your.
Oh yeah, sure. It's a random number generator.
Okay, so it's random number generator. So this is what basically the software comes up, and basically when it comes to a lottery system. So this is not an RNG, right? Because you are actually choosing the action, and your opponent is actually choosing the action. So there is card strength, there's attributes within the card strength of the characters and the play. So yes, the value of the cards, more powerful cards, will be weaker cards. But then we actually choose which cards to play and when to play them, just as most trading card games go. So I want to be very clear. This is not an RNG proposition when it comes to rock, paper, scissors, or kick, punch, slam. This is where you are choosing at the time of the situation, aka real time, what you think the best move is, and then obviously trying to play, as we would say, the meta game. What do you think your opponent will be playing? So this is real time strategy overlaid with a game. So this is basically it's either card strength, strength of skill set, and now we're adding a third element. And we believe this third element is going to be extremely dynamic. So you could even see, we've already been approached by different software programming companies. Check this out, guys. Say we're playing for, say, 100,000 energy. So energy is our basically our base token, governance token, whatever you want to say, and it'll be used for a myriad of games. The value of energy, we think, in this situation could appreciate. So these could be very, very large amounts that we're playing. You could see if someone's playing with a HUD, which is a heads-up display, that actually has a record of maybe all the actions that one of your opponents has been playing, because his actions are actually recorded within the HUD. So in real time, other software companies can actually offer software products to you as a player or us as a player to then maybe guess the likelihood of this person played this scenario in that last scenario similar to this, so I will choose punch. So it's an incredibly dynamic system, and I just wanted to define that this is different. So RNG is random number generated. That means it's just a lottery, right? There's just 3 balls in there. It could be any ball that's being used. This is not the case. This is actually a conscious act of which you should choose.
Yeah, great question.
Fantastic.
Sorry. Excuse me. No, I just want to say, yeah, so what you're saying is your delta of randomness is lower, and therefore there is a factor of RNG, but your delta of randomness is lower, therefore there is player skill involved, more than where it's just, like throwing a dice and hoping for the best, or like lighting a candle to RNG. That said, I had one more question, and it's my last question, and I'll leave after it. So for people who don't want to invest as much, right? And we talked about planets here, buying planets and getting plots and mining and all of that. For the people who don't go down that route, right? Is there a huge disadvantage there for those players who don't go that route? And how do you look to combat that?
Yeah, great. So the first thing...
Okay, I'm going to mute myself. So thank you for answering all my questions.
No, fantastic questions. I love them. So the first thing I'll say is that there'll be free starter packs. Like they won't never be powerful. They're just really there to really trial the game out, right? But say you are from a developing world, or you just don't have the funds to, and you want to try out the game, you can do that. There'll be a free starter deck. It'll be very limited on rewards. But that's something you can start out.
Earn rewards. You can still earn crypto.
Yeah.
I mean, this is amazing, and you can still enter tournaments for free.
Yeah, for certain tournaments. But obviously, owning the NFTs is always better, especially for these type of games. And there's a specific distinction between, it's becoming very clear, between like a scholar and I guess, what do we call the people who own scholars? I'm not sure. The managers. So the people who own the assets, and then they can have their own team later on for people who don't necessarily have the income, but they have the time. So it becomes this really nice little economy. You may have a little team of, players who play for you because you don't necessarily have the time, you have the money. So you buy up the assets, and then your scholars will play for you. or your esports team will play for you, or your guild will play for you. That's one of the cool things about it, this whole space. Thanks for the questions. Dave, I think there's more questions now in the ChiFiBots AMA text channel. If you want to move on to that one.
Yeah, I've got it. From Chance the Guy, who said, are there any reasons other than ownership decision as to why the Aspire blockchain was used?
I'll let RJ answer that.
So, I mean, it's really about scalability, right? So, in the future, people talk about Web3. This is just our opinion from our standpoint. We feel in the future, and this is Web 4, 5, and 6. So this is layers of the internet and sophistication of software development over the next 10 years, 120 months. We feel that in the early stages of crypto and blockchain and encryption, decentralization, it was about the infrastructure, aka the protocols. But now the introduction is that no one really cares about me as a player. Say if I'm a player in Toronto, Canada, I don't care what technology I'm playing on. I just want to be able to play the game, and for the cheapest, most cost-effective, fastest way possible. So right now, Aspire Blockchain offers a lot of those attributes. And then in the future, why it doesn't really matter so much which blockchain, I mean, we're talking about further down the line, is that most games are going to live cross-platform. So right now, the cheapest way to do this is Aspire. It's very, very cost-effective. So we're not, this is not a, let's build it on Binance Smart Chain, have a bunch of people. We're not even talking about ICO. This may just be a play-to-earn game. You can only earn certain tokens in the game. This is about really delivering a great product and service that people want to enjoy. So in the future, it's like, hey, why don't you build it on Spire? On Hive, but why don't you build it on Poly or Matic? Well, we absolutely can. We can build, in this case, interoperability, and some people call it bridges, depending on or portals. We just feel that a lot of games will, in the future, just migrate to offer the cheapest services. Because if we think about this, if I have $100 and I'm in London, if I live in London on $100 or 100 quid or 100 pounds, whatever you want to say, if I do a lot of transactions, do I want to be paying $3 a transaction, or do I want to be paying 30 cents a transaction if I can get the exact same game experience, right? So that's why it's on Aspire as of now. And then in the future, just like other games, a great game is Idle Mystics. They started on Matic, now they are from Binance Smart Chain, and they'll still be on Solana. Because these games, if the games are built right, no one cares what it's built on unless you're a witness or like you're a miner on that particular blockchain. You just want to have the best experience possible, right?
I think for most of it, it's not going to be necessarily everything is going to be on chain, right? When you're finding a match and all that doesn't have to be on chain. It's mainly for the marketplace transactions. That's really it.
Great. Next question. Very important question from Spirit Surge. He says, is it ChiFiBots or ChiFiBots?
Pretty fly for a Chi-Fi. I say ChiFiBots. I used to say ChiFiBots. Chi-Fi because it means Chibi Fighting Robots.
I might say ChiFiBots sometimes because it sounds like Wi-Fi.
ChiFiBots. Yeah, that's just the way I see. That's how I pronounce it.
This question is, will we be able to delegate cards?
Yes, I'm pretty sure we can. That's one of the... in my ideal situation, you delegate an entire deck, but that's probably not even possible.
Yeah, we'll be working with developers on that.
That was similar to the bundle system, Kevin, yes.
Yeah, but based on, the amount of combinations, it's going to be very difficult. That'd be cool if we pull that off. That'd be cool. Imagine, you have the meta deck everyone's using. You can just delegate that out on the market. Someone can just, rent it out and play with it.
Boom. Exactly.
Great.
Pyros91 asks, what role does land play?
So, in its essence, it's just mining you a resource that you will need to combine cards. And although it's not confirmed or anything, but I'd like to have like a percentage of everyone who plays a game that a little bit of it goes to the landowners. That would be cool as well. I mean, looking into the huge future down the road, it's probably tied to a metaverse where you can run around in 3D. But that's very much in the future.
Yes. Okay, Beehiver says, is there any airdrop for the game for 1UP holders?
I think 1UP is completely separate. Maybe IJ and Flowy can go more into that.
I haven't heard anything about that, so maybe IJ has some ideas.
Yeah, no. So this is the 1UP is a communications platform, and then NFT Studios, owner of ChiFiBots, is the game itself. So they're two separate entities.
But that's just for ChiFiBots. It may be something down the road where, we're making something for 1UP. So I wouldn't lose faith on it. All up for that.
Yeah.
Hashtag leak.
Let's just say that the cartel has some ideas.
Yeah. I mean, once again,
ground for the cartel.
Yeah. Once again, everybody, I can't stress enough. They are separate entities because those are cross platforms. These are different platforms. The base platform, the protocol is Hive, and the base protocol for ChiFiBots is Aspire. So in this case, if I hold a whole bunch of Hive, when a game releases on Binance Smart Chain, the likelihood is very unlikely that they would airdrop assets into another blockchain.
Yep.
Jet Signals asks a couple of questions. First, what will be the transaction fees on Aspire blockchain? I'll go ahead and answer that. So you'll need the token GASP to transact, and one GASP, which is around 0.03 cents right now or something. Don't quote me on that. One GASP will do about 300 to 600,000 transactions. So you're talking about millionths of a penny for one transaction. And his next question is, when can we open packs?
So we're working on that right now. The programmers. It should be when the alpha launches.
And will there be a marketplace to trade NFTs on Hive? I'm assuming he means our ChiFiBot NFTs.
That I do not know at the moment. I'm sure we can bridge it over for something.
Yeah, that's more a question to 1UP actually than to ChiFiBots, because in the 1UP announcement proposal, I wrote that this is something we want to look into in the mid to long term for 1UP, that we are looking at creating bridges to other blockchains so that you can then take your ChiFiBots from Aspire, mirror them on Hive, and show them on Hive and sell them on Hive by, we have to look into technology, but somehow connecting wallets on both blockchains with each other. Should be possible, but it is something that we haven't started any work on yet, and we are just in the beginning phase of 1UP, and with the cartel helping to push 1UP further and so on. So we will talk about this in a couple of months when we have grown further, when we have collected more funds and more ideas. But I'm convinced that this is really something that is possible to do and that we should do, which is not a guarantee that we will do it though.
Vicky asks, will there be Aspire token airdrop for holding packs?
No. Highly doubt it.
All right, next question. Solimai asks, what role will land play? We just covered that. And will there be buildings to build and levels, like on the land, I guess?
Not at this moment. I think that's probably something more for when the metaverse gets built.
All right. And Pyro's with another question. What will the currency be that can be won from matches? Will that be energy?
It's probably most likely going to be called fusion, and energy will be another one in certain situations.
Any staking capabilities?
I believe so. I think you can definitely you'll be able to stake the cryptocurrency, but we might go further and you can stake the NFTs as well.
Any airdrops for any of our tokens?
I'm not sure at the moment. I don't think so.
So I can say this when it comes to the idea of airdrops. Typically, when it comes to games, right, on the blockchain, it's designated for some kind of activity or actions taking place where airdrops are given. So in blockchain, before, like if you owned EOS, and when they had wax, you were given wax tokens because you held EOS. We understand that. But when it comes to blockchain games, certain actions. So a lot of games right now is if you're involved early stage in a game, this is predominantly within the first 12 months of a game, certain actions would then get compensated and be airdropped. And then those actions in the future would have a different form of compensation. So I'm not leaking anything, but I'm just telling you what others have done, other blockchain games have done, and what seems people really, really enjoy. So maybe in this case, if you log into a game every day for the first 90 days, we can see that, and maybe there's an airdrop. Now, when the game hopefully is in the tens of billions of dollars, that's how we reward the early adopters to our game. So then maybe 2 years from now or 3 years now, just for logging in, you wouldn't get any kind of compensation and there would be no more airdrops. So what seems to be very, very popular and a great tool is that actions early on, early participants can get compensated in the gifting of airdrops for certain actions, and those actions in the future may not have those capabilities. So I can say that.
Olimai with another question. Will it be allowed to stream the alpha testing?
I'm not sure. I have nothing against it. I think any marketing is great for it.
So alpha. So once again, we're going to use it. The average person is not going to participate or even view or be a part of alpha. This is very, very early science testing. The true terminology is beta, and then what level of beta? 1.0, 1.1, 2.0. So everyone should focus on, if you would like to be an early participant, if you'd like to give your feedback or play these assets, play these games, we will make announcements of when people can apply. Obviously, the later beta stages, it could be an open beta where we just let in the first 5,000 or 10,000 or 50,000 players. But in the early betas, there is a interview process. There is a screening process. And then, obviously, if you have access to that, depending on what level of beta, depending on the agreement or what's called the NDA, you can share some part, all of your participation level. So we can say that. I know this is not cloak and dagger stuff, but I just want to define certain terminologies that are maybe different in certain industries that are different here in blockchain gaming and particularly ChiFiBots. So alpha is a closed alpha, invite only, probably less than 250 people will be a part of that. And then after that, the beta will open, and then all the way up to, say, the latest version of beta, then it will be an open enrollment where there is no friction.
And a follow-up question to that is, will the 1UP token play a role, and which, if so?
In ChiFiBots, I don't think so.
In the game? Yeah, I don't think so. All right. Also, are there any other projects on Aspire that ChiFiBots could cooperate with?
The beauty of it is we'll probably be the first one. Like the first one to be on the blockchain, on Aspire blockchain, which is, a huge advantage in itself.
So I'm going to speak on this one because I think people hearing us will be pretty happy because we are. So we are NFT Studios, meaning that we are not just a game studio in this. We have been approached starting about 7 months ago. Individual investors, organizations, hedge funds, venture firms, angel investors, and also major corporations have asked us to help them develop products and services. So this is our business as a game studio, developing games and platforms for different blockchains, but primarily focused on Aspire at this early stage of our company. But in the future, do not be surprised if NFT Studios partnered with some major brands out there to bring products and services to the Aspire and to also the blockchain industry as a whole. So talking about who we're partnering with, we can't disclose that, but we are already in talks with several different brands and several different companies to bring their vision of blockchain gaming or even blockchain participation to the wider world, and Aspire will be the first and foremost platform to do that, and then other platforms will follow. So it's very, very cool that people, not only gamers, people that are participating in blockchain gaming, but actually investors, corporations want us to help them develop their games. Once again, we do have a background in blockchain gaming. We have a background in gaming in general, and in my particular background, marketing and also product development. So hopefully that answers your questions, but I'd be more than happy to answer some of the things we can't say in public at this early stage, but it definitely looks like a bright future for the Aspire blockchain, and we're extremely happy to be working with them. And then I want to release this as well. I want to say this. So if you guys don't know this, my name is Ajay Maha. I'm the co-founder of NFT Studios, which is developing ChiFiBots. We definitely see a future of developing products and services on Hive. So I can say that right now. We definitely see a future where we develop products and services, products that you would like, that would be generated and started on Hive. And we can probably say with certain, if we're participating in Hive, we've been involved in Hive, dating back to even before Hive, even Steam, we will, in all likelihood, develop products and services. So you can quote me on that, but what products and services at what timeline, that's not being disclosed. But I can say that today. So that's one thing that we're really, really excited to tell everybody here in the Hive community. And really just super, super grateful for everyone being here with us at this early stage of what we think is potentially a $1 billion game.
Yes, everyone is very, very, very early, even before the actual alpha. It's insane.
If I second what I just said, we're very excited to be part of the Hive community and bring out future products for the Hive users to enjoy. Next question from Drabs. Lots of E2E games are implementing staking properties in games. Any plans for that in ChiFiBots?
Yes.
Staking properties or staking
I think it's just referring to like assets and cryptocurrency. Yeah, I think GameFi is a huge thing. GameFi is a huge thing at the moment where you can take your earnings, and if you don't want to sell out, you can sell the earnings, you can do something with them to make more earnings. I think it's something we can definitely do. Just seeing how successful it was on Splinterlands and Axie Infinity as well.
Yes, passive income. All about that. Altari asks, What's the estimated or planned time a match will take?
Classic, it's looking like it'll only be a few minutes, and then standard can be anywhere between maybe 5 to 25 minutes.
Standard, will that be like a story mode, or will that be like just like the whole deck instead of?
Oh yeah, that's the whole deck. So it's the 6 ChiFiBots plus a 60 card accompanying deck, which will
That would naturally take longer.
yeah, and that's when the base set releases. So the actual alpha testing would just be classic mode, and it's just six ChiFiBots. You only pick punch, kick, or slam. You might have 10 to 15 seconds to pick it, and it would just keep going like that. Where the beauty comes in, where the standard comes in, where you can start healing things, you can start disrupting your opponents, you can start adding attacks and defense onto your own ChiFiBots.
Great. Epic Fail asks, will there be an airdrop? Maybe consider an airdrop for cartel holders.
9.
The cartel is on that one.
9.
First of all, the cartels is a different entity to NFT Studios and ChiFiBots, as well as to OneUp. So the cartel, while OneUp is ideally a decentralized gaming community, not so much decentralized now because we are in the early stages, but down the road it should become more and more decentralized, while the cartel is full on centralized, and it's turning to become a company eventually with full accounting and everything. So cartel is not related to ChiFiBots. So making an airdrop to cartel holders would be nice, where we all the cartel holders, but doesn't make much sense from the ChiFiBots perspective, and not even from OneUp's perspective.
I mean, the cartel themselves, you've bought into a few tiers anyway, right? So you will have...
Yeah, so we bought tier 5 for $1,000
Yeah.
for the cartel on day 1, as announced in our cartel launch post that we will do that.
Yeah, nice. I think it's a cool concept to own assets from all these different games. That question just kind of shows, like, we're just doing a lot at the moment. There's a lot going on.
Yes, it's a lot. Just to jump in quickly, I mean, I have been juggling OneUp and the cartel now, and I never intended it to grow that fast, that quickly. Spirit Search, our hand is in the room here as well, and you can just ask him, drop in a question later on, or maybe don't, because he already has enough work to do, right? Because we are talking all day long with people from Hive, and network and build and create and grow. It's incredible, but it's a different thing to us what we do with ChiFiBots. But it's a supportive, synchronized thing. I mean, everything we do fits on OneUp, and everything we do with ChiFiBots also fits into the cartel. We are ChiFiBots holders. We will have an operator for the game when it comes out, and even before that, we will write articles, probably do an interview with Kevin, and so on. There will be lots of content and bridges, but not necessarily airdrops.
Nilfari with a question. What's the estimated player base for the start, and will there be bots to reduce match finding time? Start.
I think it's whatever is capable for the alpha testing. I think IJ said, only a few hundred. And there might be bots. Look, there might be bots in the off times. But that's just to ensure that people can find a game within a few minutes.
Also, Nilfari, do you have an eye candy for us?
Are you referring to my sex ability? No, I'm joking.
Eye candy. Who wants some eye candy, Kevin? Maybe go on to the next question where he's digging through his...
Like leaks? I can't really leak anything else that has been leaked.
Dance videos or something? We're getting to the bottom of the questions. Kiki asks, this will be only P2P game or also F2P?
Assuming F2P means free to play, like there's a free to play aspect, but it's very limited rewards. And like there might be, then when standard gets released, you might just get absolutely smashed by people who have the actual decks.
Actually, the question would make more sense, I think, when the first one is P2P, the player. What is P2P meaning anyway? Isn't it player versus player and then player versus environment?
Oh, he might be referring to PvE.
Against another person?
Oh, pay to play.
Pay to play.
I think,
Okay.
yeah, pay to play is like in its essence, play to earn is pay to play. That's just the way it is. If you can successfully make a free game, that'd be great. But every free game has a way for them to make profit, I guess. It's very hard to make.
The problem with that is, if we look at Splinterlands, for example, I mean, they started very much as, free to play, but then bots were taking over and leeching out so many rewards, undeservingly, that they had to go away from this bit by bit over time, and now we are at a moment where when you're playing Bronze League, you're not earning anything anymore, or nothing nearly.
Yeah.
And it's important to think about that for us as well.
Yeah, I think competitive integrity is really good. Sorry, Dave, go with you.
There will be one free-to-play aspect, right? You get 3 cards or something for free with limited rewards. But we were also
Guys, I want to define this really quick. Hold on a second, guys, because even the terminology we're using is off, right? Like limited rewards. Guys, show me a game right now. How many games are out there that are allowing people to play blockchain and actually earn rewards for absolutely no entry cost? So though you guys, or maybe a lot of people out there, can afford a $50 pack or 1,000, or 5,000, there's a lot of people out there. The reason why we're offering this, and people can actually earn money and not have to be scholarships. Some of the scholarship programs, listen, I'm a blockchain gamer. Some of the scholarship programs, they're taking 75, 85% of a fee for the managers and 15% for the players. In our head, that's a form of, to sweatshop and slavery for income. But those people take those deals because they do want to put food on the table. They do want to have at least a blanket to sleep. And some of these kids and some of these young people and some of these older people can't afford their meds. So we're given an aspect where you can not have to ask a scholar or a manager where they take a majority or even 50% of your efforts, where you can learn the game for free, learn skill sets, learn the environment if you like the game, and also earn an income. So I can't stress enough. Our thesis here is to mint $1 trillion for the first heavily involved 1,000 players. What I mean by that is our thesis going forward for NFT Studios and ChiFiBots and all our other games in the lineup coming out is that we want to make 1,000 billionaires. And then on the other side, we want to make 100 million people worldwide earn $100,000 a year from playing our games and participating in our community. That's our goal. So I want to stress the way we're wording things and our understanding, because maybe a $10 or $20 participation right now or $2 pack seems nothing to maybe, to some of these people in the room, but we would love to scale up to say, hey, we have 500,000, 1 million, 10 million people playing our game and adding to the strength of our community. So, that's really what our goal is. If we wanted a cash grab or we didn't really get, literally, I turned down, I can't say the blockchain, but they offered me $5 million in cash to develop on their blockchain. But their gas fees were pretty high. So these things that we're trying to be mindful of, a nerf deck or a limited rewards, any rewards. The kind of cool part about this, everyone here is so early, even our employees are so early, that you guys can actually play this game and then write articles, write blogs, write videos about playing our game and other games and earn cryptos twice. earn crypto in the game, rewards in the game, and also earn rewards just by talking about it. So I'm extremely passionate about this, that we really want to lift 100 million people out of abject poverty by playing our game. Now, some of them can afford the $50 pack, but to really affect positive change around this world, we want everybody to have the lowest barrier to entry. All you need is internet access and a phone. So I just wanted to talk about that. You know, for you guys, earning $3, $4, $5, maybe $12 a day is very small, but maybe for other people it could be life changing, and that's what we're here to do.
Thank you, IJ.
Well said.
Levi with the question, will there be a mode where you battle bosses, or will there be a quest mode that you can play without having to play an opponent?
Yeah, so there'll be like a story/adventure mode. It's in the works. And there will even be like bigger picture, there'll be like boss raids. Where instead of you picking 6 ChiFiBots, you'll just like team up with 6 people and you pick 1 ChiFiBot each and you verse a boss.
Alright, and Spirit Surge asks, what you believe the game mechanics would promote bots? Is there a plan to combat that?
I haven't looked too much into it, but I'm sure we'll have to eventually bring it to surface. Right now, our main priority is just getting the game.
I would like to add to that question that bots are not necessarily a bad thing. First of all, they provide liquidity for players in the early stages of a game. Around the clock, you will find an opponent, even though there is no opponent, but the bot will play for them. And then later on, the bots will have to be involved in the game in terms of they have to own assets to earn assets. If they don't, then they will not earn anything, or very, very little. And this is actually a good thing then, because you have investors who would rather like to run a bot than to play themselves or go through the efforts of finding a scholar who plays for them. We will try to create mechanisms that will make that easier for players and owners, asset owners, to actually find somebody, but these people have invested, and that is helpful for the entire ecosystem, meaning as well as for the players who just want to play regularly, not automated, because now the assets are worth more because this other guy just bought tons of packs to run a bot.
Mm-hmm.
So I can say a way of people combating bots, not just here in blockchain gaming, but in gaming in general, and also participating in other software platforms involved in the internet, is that at different stages, the security gets higher and higher and higher. So, just think about, just using a slide rule. If you guys, match the puzzle piece into the image, that's one way of preventing bots. Another way is obviously through encryption and decoding and special words. So you can see, like, if bots are playing against us and our platform, they're not going to be, like, at the earliest free stages, they'll be earning income, sure, they'll be earning it, but we can actually put barriers up. But when it comes to, say, like a champion, to give you an example, guys, Axie Infinity is basically giving rewards out of $28 million. And it wasn't bots that are affecting these decisions. These were human beings cutting backdoor deals. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, we're talking about, in some cases, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars in value. So when people talk about bots, the people that created the bots in certain levels and backdoor deals by human beings have affected the gameplay of not just blockchain games, but all games in general. Whenever you have human interaction and there's some form of compensation, there always is someone trying to push the boundaries of what is following the rules and regulations. Depending on what level of participation you're on with NFT Studios and ChiFiBots, there is different agreements that you have to quote unquote follow. If you do not follow these rules, if you're in violation of these rules, one mechanism is that Axie Infinity can actually freeze your assets in their platform. I'm not saying we're going to do it for ours. They can freeze your assets for basically 99 years, 200 years, or 6 months. So there's different mechanisms. There's complete purgings. When another company had these people basically stealing bot systems for referral programs, and in that system, they froze all the assets. Like, so there's when it comes to certain actions and activities, people use the generic term bots, but it's basically humans, because humans program bots, and humans at different stages will try to cheat the system. We will do everything in our power to make ChiFiBots in any of our games and other platforms as fair as humanly possible. But I just want to say that, because when people talk about bots, all you have to look is at what's going on in blockchain gaming. All you have to do is look at real life gaming. People mention, one of the things is LOL, huge scandals, because you're dealing with millions and millions of dollars, even in Pokemon championships, right? Huge, because the compensation is so dynamic. So I want to discuss that, is that we will do everything in our power to make the game as fair and follow the guidelines at whatever participation level that you enter.
Thanks, Chloe and IJ, for the answers. Epic Fail asks, will there be any mentorship programs / training for new players to this space and type of game?
Sounds like a job for the cartel. And 1UP.
Yeah, actually, that's more a job for us. Obviously, there will be certain elements in the game of a tutorial or whatever, but at this point, we can't really say to what degree and what it will look like and how good it will be, and not even how necessary it will be. Maybe it's just all so self-explanatory that we don't need that. But the cartel, as a separate entity, will obviously look as deep into the game as possible and create tutorials, guides, and whatever, as we are doing for all the games, not just for ChiFiBots.
Awesome. Yes, I agree with Epic Fail that some games can be hard to figure out at first. I definitely want to put an in-game tutorial or training in there for the people that want to get in. But as far as maximizing your ROI, doing everything you can to make as much possible every day playing the game, the cartel will be there for that, and I'm sure people will be making YouTube videos and writing their own Hive blogs about it. So look forward to that. All right, any more questions? The Lorex? Will there be a sort of limit to how many battles we are able to play per day?
Yeah, there'll be some kind of energy system. That's all I can say. I mean, most energy systems are just super basic. It's either a number or you lose a certain percentage per battle.
And Nilthari asks, will there be any advantages for foils, or are they only cosmetic?
For now, you'll be able to earn. It'll be just like Splinterlands. You'll be earning a bit more if you have foils.
So I can say this because this is because. So one kind of cool thing about foils and maybe certain limited cards, we see the NFTs go, Broad Ape Yacht, Bored Ape Yacht Club, certain live events, certain NFT holders on our platform and products, and certain participants will be able to attend certain events. So we do plan on having NFT Studios and ChiFiBots conventions. I mean, that's literally my background. Me and Dave have done events all around the world for blockchain. So we're going to have live events and say hey, everyone pays say $30 or $10 to attend these events or live tournaments for ChiFiBots. But if you want to, hang out in the winner's circle, you'll have to show not just pay, because it's not just about paying to do everything, but what level of participation level. So say like if you own a planet, you can go get a pizza with Kevin, every time he's in town or something like that. So there's definitely other real world benefits and then also on-chain benefits by holding certain NFTs with us.
I only buy my pizza 300 Bitcoin, by the way.
I think the obvious advantage for foils is the rarity of them. So, if you hold on to them longer, potentially the ROI could go up a lot if you decide to sell them.
Yeah, and I literally just lost my train of thought. Oh, they give more collection power as well, which will be used later on.
For gameplay or for staking or both?
So if you hold like a regular foil versus a gold foil versus a cosmic foil, like the gold and the cosmic have more collection power, which is a representation of your actual collection, and it's a way to how Splinterlands does it. It's to combat like bots as well, and for certain leagues, but that's more for later on. Right now, I mean, it's always like, would you rather a regular, would you rather a gold foil? You almost always will say gold foil.
So guys, we're coming up, we're past an hour and a half. We're going to start winding this room down. Is there a way we can take a snapshot of the people that have been participating or asking questions? Please do that. Maybe if we can get them out of Dave's hands, we can give everyone who joined us here maybe an extra pack in the future. But one thing we do want to ask is that we are always on the lookout for high quality, good people to join the NFT Studios organization and quite frankly, the ChiFiBots family. So no matter what skill set you have, obviously you have to have some skill set in crypto because you're actually in this room, but please spread the word. We're more than happy to start opening talks with people. We need more designers. We need more game developers. We need more software developers. We need more investors because, really our goal is really to entertain people, have a great time, and at the end of the day, have enough money to buy Kevin more pizza. So let's maybe take one or two more questions, but if there isn't any more questions, I'd like to ask everybody, going with Florian, Dave, and then Kevin can close the room out, but let's take two more questions. But that'll be it for me. Thank you so much, everybody. And then to give you an idea, tonight I'm actually here in Miami. I'm going to a party with 50 billionaires, and we're going to be presenting ChiFiBots. Kevin designed a little presentation for us. So I'm going to be in a room with 50 billionaires. Let's see if I can convert a few of them into ChiFiBots players. But Dave, maybe take one or two more questions, and then we'll start closing the round. Go Florian, Dave, and Kevin. So thank you so much, everyone. Depending on where you are in the world, I thank you for supporting and really appreciate you guys participating with us at this such early, incredible stage of ChiFiBots.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. So let's just make this the last question from Epic Fail. He asked, what will 200 HBD buy me?
For the tiers, you have an option of going tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3, which is a $10 option, a $50 option, and a $100 option. And it's really up to you. You can buy any combination. I would probably not suggest tier 1 because that's kind of just a thank you. We just tacked on an extra promo pack for it just because no one really does that. They just kind of just take a thank you. So it's really out of tier 2 or tier 3 or a combination of both. So have at it. Have a bit of fun. Almost all of the tiers are like very beneficial to whoever invests in them. I wouldn't say almost. I think every single one is.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Flowey. Thank you, myself, for running this AMA. Thank you, everyone, for attending and asking your questions. Had some really good ones in there. But yeah, I am ready to shut this down. so much social interaction is taxing on me. So
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add, Flowey, or I can just close it out?
No, I'm fine. I'm hanging out on this Discord anyway, 24/7. So if everyone has a question, they can just hit me up.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you everyone who attended. It's been awesome. I really, really hope you get involved with ChiFiBots and help us make this dream a reality. I think it's going to be a kick-ass game. And please just keep the party going in the Discord, message each other, get to know each other. You may eventually verse each other in the game, so it'd be pretty cool to start a bit of banter. Again, from the rest of the NFT Studios team, I just want to say thank you and have a great day or night.